I'm recording just in case something good happens.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing, man?
Let me see if I can turn on my. Okay, let's see here. Just a sec. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
There we go. I think let me turn on my video here.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. There's a lot of stuff here to click on.
Yeah, it's how you doing, man?
All right, pretty good. Well, I don't know, whatever. That's kind of a bullshit answer. Pretty good. I don't know.
What's going on, man? What happened today?
I just have this like really trippy feeling about lots of stuff.
You called the right guy, man.
Okay, cool. I don't know if I'm going insane or if I'm drastically shifting in the way I see things, or if honestly if I'm I don't know if there's a way to recover from the I don't know. I just feel like things aren't going well at all, and that it doesn't make any difference whether they are or not, and that I'm being miserable because I'm choosing to be miserable, and that it doesn't make any difference what I do. Like I've been riding my bike to work because my transmission went out a week ago, which I've been like halfway cussing at it and halfway enjoying it.
Right.
You know, and so I see these screws and nails on the street, and I'm kind of bewildered that I don't want, like I might be cussing at my bike ride because I just want to be at home lounging and not sweating on my bike, like not enjoying it at all, and I feel like not obligated, but like I want to pick up a screw or nail on the road, and kind of being like, you know, I could just as easily get a box of screws or nails and put it on the street, and really that wouldn't make much difference. It would make, you know, it wouldn't really change things for me.
Right. You're saying so you're saying you want to add to the debris on the road just because?
No, I don't want to. No, I stop and pick up the nails and screws.
Right.
And so I'm miserable, and it doesn't make me any happier or any more sad or anything. It's like meaningless. And like I don't find myself writing a story about it. Like I'm such a good guy because I do this, or you know, it doesn't have meaning. I don't know, it's hard to explain. And like I could eat really good, healthy food, junk food, and in the end, it doesn't really make as much difference like I used to think it would or think it did.
Well, I'm just going to go off on a riff here, and I think I understand where you're at, and I've been there, and probably end there on some level at all times, as you know, we all seem to be. Uh, this is what I try to do um, when I am in that space. Particularly if I had to ride the bike, and you know, there's things that things seem like it doesn't matter what I choose to do, and you know, all of these things, all the irritations of the world of separation, and everything's just not working out. What I like to try to do in that regard is just to realize that it's not you doing it, it's not being done to you, and it's not personal in that uh, there's something that you could do positive or negative. Now, this might seem like a horrible thing to the individual in the initial outset, to come to this place where, okay, I'm not really doing anything and nothing is really working out negatively or positively for me.
Yeah.
But as this sensation of irritation and frustration, annoyance, and just a general malaise of you know, darkness, kind of, you know, just aggravation starts to uh, pervade everything. Um, I just try to see it as the totality of existence expressing itself in this way, as a Steve that is aggravated, that is Steve that has justifiably frustrating, you know, you know, things that are happening that are just pissing them off. And but it's not you, and it's not anybody doing it to you or anything that has a personal you know, vendetta against your desire. What it is that um, now bear with me on this. I'm not saying you. When I say you, I mean myself. And when I'm in that situation, you come to a place where you get stuck in the story of a self, of a Howard that is not getting what he wants, and things aren't working out my way. And so what happens is that it snowballs into this subject object desire, and then frustration just piles on. So just kind of stop and realize that this is being expressed as the totality of existence in this moment, that everything that you are experiencing or seem to be experiencing as an individual, and the life nightmare that appears to be happening for you, uh, is that it's not the story, it's not the story of the separation that it appears to be, but actually the totality as one, uh, as one, how shall I say, uh, as one happening, not happening. So if you just try to look at it as a foundationless appearance of an existence in separation, coming from nowhere and going to nothing, rather than looking at it from the perspective of the individual of Steve that wants stuff to work out. Uh, stop trying to do or not do one thing or another. Just look at it as this is a Steve being expressed in the frustration of separation, and as the totality of existence. And in my case, a lot of times uh, that works for me, and everything starts, I realize I can start looking and laughing at the screws that are on the road, the flat tire that happened, the fact that my bike will break down. I think I'm having a tough day and I just want to get home and chill out, and then my bike will break, and now I'm not only not in a car, I'm now pushing my bicycle home on my feet. Yeah, so yeah, it's like it can always get worse. You know what I mean? It can always get worse. So look at it as, like, right now, the totality of existence expressing itself as the two of us having a conversation in separation, and we're exchanging information, and just this guttural sense of being in this here and now. but it's not that. It's the here and now expressing itself as us. And it's, some people say that that's useless for the individual, and perhaps it is, but it still helps me. It helps me realize it just calms me down, and it relieves the pressure of the responsibility of me either doing or not doing something, or thinking or trying or not trying, or something that I have to do in order to make this right and get it back on track. No, let it be what it is, exactly as it appears, because it's not as it appears. So it simply is the story of you navigating this space and time. And it's the story of that frustration of sensation, and the story of all of these things. And does it suck? Yes. Is it frustrating? Yes. All of it. But let it be exactly what it is. And that works for me, you know.
Well, I like the way you described that. And the thing about it that's kind of weird and unusual that I haven't experienced ever before is that I'm not really able to. I'm complaining about it to myself in a way that I haven't before, like from a non-personal way. Like I feel distant from the suffering and from the complaining.
Mm-hmm.
And like the complaining and the suffering feels kind of like fake in a way, like a dream,
Yeah,
or nightmare.
yeah.
And it's kind of, it's not disturbing me as much as I want it to, or kind of
Yeah, yeah. That's so weird. It's funny that you bring that up, because I have that same. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
it's kind of creeping me out a little.
Well, I have the same sensation in that sometimes if I'm not in, like, that continuous agonizing pain that always seems to pervade my, my situation, like I will actually uh wonder why I'm not in pain. Like I'll make sure that, okay, so I'll do something to put myself back in that situation where, oh, okay, now I'm back to my normal painful self. And it's like, where I was completely, pain free, decided to get into the pain just to feel like I was normal again.
Are
And
you talking physical pain?
yes,
Oh, okay. Wow.
yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, I have 24/7 pain, that
Yeah.
pervades the experience of me. So, but like I'll lose it, right? And then I'll suddenly be aware that I'm not in pain, and then almost contract it into existence again. And within that paradox of like I'm not even, I don't know how to exist without that pain. So it's almost like it feels like a manifestation, but even that is the appearance of Steve, manifesting this frustration because of this trap of do not do kind of thing. It's not like you're doing it, but at the same time, that, and you want to, but it's paradoxical. But I think I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I don't know. Am I going insane, or what do you think?
Well, okay, that's the beautiful thing about um, this whole thing is that no, you're not thinking. Okay, you're not actually doing this. You're not actually even, it's not, a question of whether or not you are losing your mind. It's actually the reality that you're not thinking and being expressed as a Steve that has a mind that could be lost. Okay, that's the absolutely amazing part of it. I call it the slip, when you go from um, an individual that's, say, speaking about non-duality or no or thinglessness, sourcelessness, and then the actual appearance of an individual. It seems like the Howard slips into this, completely dimensionless state where there's no subject or object, and the identity of Howard is completely obliterated, and any kind of form of existence or dimension of subject object or things, uh, that there can be this feeling that yes, you're losing your mind, and which is the illusion that you ever had one in the first place. I call it the slip, and what happens is you blend into this dimensionless appearance of, it's not even nothing, because it's not even the negation of a dimension. It's the simple lack of time and space, the lack of subject object, the lack of cause and effect, of matter and motion, light or dark, line, separation. None of that exists. And so your identity gets shattered, and it could feel like you're losing your mind. But the reality is that it was never there. Now, paradoxically, now I call what follows invariably, what appears to follow, is the snapback, because you come back into separation because you're so scared that you see everything just dissipate into not even nothing, and then you reach out for the first thing to get you back to that regular pain, that old comfortable shoe of mind, like mind self brain loop. So you got a mind self brain, pain, suffering, frustration, you know. And what the slip indicates is that it's almost like a reminder or a glimpse of how ridiculously, you know, uh, provincial, that it's elementary almost. It's crude. That once you see the slip, or once you see the thinglessness, it's almost like it's a counterintuitive break for the individual, that they can see themselves as not an individual, as not a thing or a subject or an object or a concept, but actually everything and nothing. You are nothing in regards to what appears to be cause and effect, but you are everything in regards to the expression of the totality of what appears to be existence, which is nothing, appearing as everything. So no matter where you go throughout your day, throughout your life, it's not going to be you as a Steve that is in cause and effect, but it's going to be the expression of Steve in the totality of existence, expressed as a you interacting with it. Okay. But that's just the story of Steve in a separation. So the beauty of it is that you're losing yourself uh, in regards to your individual identity, but you are gaining this just a amazing counterintuitive, you know, uh, uh, speechlessness, is insofar as being able to see that that it's just an appearance and it's not actually happening, and you can see it as a story. Now you can get caught into that story and get into that illusionary mind self. The mind is telling a story to a self about a brain. And so Steve wants his transmission fixed so he doesn't have to ride his bike. And, I'm tired and all of this stuff. Am I losing my mind? This is the story of Steve slipping from a dualistic identity. Meanwhile, his dualistic life is crumbling around him. It's a fucking nightmare. You have no control over what's going on. And the hardest thing to do is to reach out and try to get a hold of this thing. It's like, wait a minute, this isn't supposed to be the way it is. I'm losing myself, and I'm seeing this is not it's not is real. But at the same time, as I'm doing this, everything is falling apart. Nothing is like becoming better. Everything sucks and it's getting worse. And this is not helping me. And the beautiful thing about it is, now really, this is the beauty of it. What is, okay, what can be known, what is knowable, okay, what you can understand as basic, um, uh, the appearance of actuality, is that Steve is expressed in every sense as the totality of existence, you know, and your story. So what I'm suggesting is, take the reality out of the notion. Okay. that there is a Steve thinking, and that there's a Steve that is actually desirous. Don't look at it as I want this to happen. Look at it like this: there's a Steve that wants these things, and look at what's happening to put all these obstacles in his way, and look at these obstacles as just watch the way you interact with it as a character would interact. Don't, yeah, I'm not asking you to not be this way or to be another way. I'm not asking you to respond to these things in any particular way. I'm saying that what is happening is prior to thought. It's prior to Steve thinking about his wants, needs, and desires. This is about what is. So what is every moment is blooming into existence, or what appears to be this existence, as a you navigating it, and appreciate that, even the shitty suckiness of it, even the horrible nightmare frustrating part of it, is that, and it's easier said than done a lot of times, but the reality is what is uh, not necessarily a Steve navigating desire or navigating time and space. It is the story of a Steve in this situation, and just be aware of that subtle difference, that you are being expressed rather than expressing yourself. You are not expressing a desire, but you are being expressed as an individual that has desire. And just, it's not going to change your, you know, your immediate situation and what you got to deal with, but it can change your perspective in the how much that really matters, and how fun that actually is. It sucks, and yeah, but instead of wanting to get home real quick, realize that no matter where you are, just be in that place of, this is not real. I don't exist. This is the desire. All of these things that are going down are being expressed independent of any want or need of or any question or answer that, you know, that could be given. There is no separation. There is no individual experiencing this. There is the story of an individual having an experience, and that, to me, that subtle difference, that it makes a difference in that it makes everything, it's not personal, it's just the appearance of a happening, but it's not really happening. And just realize that. And
the kind of weird thing about it is that I'm seeing it the way you're putting it. Maybe a little bit, maybe for the first time in my life, like a kind of indifference,
yeah,
and like a stability, or a power, or like, I mean, it truly, everything sucks right now,
yes,
and I don't know why, and it just does,
yeah,
and it seems like it's okay, maybe.
yeah,
But, I
yeah,
mean, things suck, like on a level of you know, if my normal day was on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say my mood and my energy and my will to live is like at a 1. But it
yeah,
seems okay, and I don't, and that's kind of creeping me out.
mhm,
Like,
yeah. So we'll continue, please. I don't want to, you know,
so
that's pretty big.
yeah, and so I would think that that kind of perspective would be kind of freeing
Yes.
and light, and yet it doesn't yet feel that way. And I'm thinking maybe if I go long enough with it, that, you know, a long enough duration, that that'll change.
Well, yes and no. It's kind of fun to play with these stories about possibilities, stories about things that might happen. The reality of, like, you know, I'm tempted to, you know, to talk about something like Siddhartha, and you know, the little metaphors about the creatures at the bottom of the river. They're looking at the reeds. You know, they're hanging onto the reeds at the bottom of the river, and you know, they're looking at these reeds passing over, and they seem to be in a totally different uh, state. They're just floating by, where down on the bottom you're holding on for dear life and everything. But if you let go, it's sure death. You're going to die. And again, I'm just using, it's a quaint little metaphor, but you let go of the reed, um, because you're just tired of, you're just tired of this whole thing, this whole ridiculous nonsense that I need to hold on to this last little vestige of what seems to be safety. It's not working for me because this sucks. So I'm gonna, how did that reed get to the top? How did that creature get up there? He's the same as me, but somehow he's calm and everything's great for him. So, you know, and the only thing he's able to tell you is you can't get here from there. And so, you get to this place where you just let go, and and then the first thing that happens is the river beats the shit out of you. It takes you and beats you against rocks, and you're like, oh my god, what have I done? Why am I doing this? This is insane. I'm gonna die, and I don't care. I would rather die. This sucks, right? But then somehow you get into the midstream area, you get above the rocks, and everything's it's still turbulent, but it's kind of going along, and you start looking down at the other creatures that are holding onto the reeds, and they're like, oh my god, you idiot, they're terrified. They think that you're gonna, somehow, you're lost. But in reality, you're looking at them and you're thinking, that, I'm not there anymore. And then the next thing you know, you rise to the top of the river stream there, and you're just kind of going with this flow, and you're looking at everybody going through these different processes of holding on to the reed or letting go and getting beat up by rocks, and you end up at the top eventually. And again, it's a quaint metaphor, but eventually you get used to this idea that, like Jay Krishnamurti would say, Jiddu Krishnamurti would say, and many, 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 many speakers say throughout, the appearance of history, that, I don't care what happens. That's the difference between us. I don't care what happens, because you are always right here, right now, being expressed as exactly what this appears to be. So don't try to, again, I'm just talking to you as like how I deal with this in a paradoxical fashion. I'm not saying this is true. It's not a method. It's what I do. It's very simple. I could talk into circles forever, but the reality is that it's not me doing this. It's not things happening to me. It's the story of things happening to a character, and the whole notion that I have a desire is the illusion that, that there's that there's somebody actually thinking and wanting stuff. So the paradox of it is that you don't actually want to come home and sit on your couch. Ultimately, you weren't happy there either, right? I mean, it's not like you were happy when you didn't have anything to do. So here we are in this thing. It's just that things happen out of your control, or the character's control, and there's, you don't get everything you want, or a lot of times you don't get anything you want, and sometimes, yeah, it's a nightmare, because you could be. This is where you start seeing yourself in the starving kid on the corner, because here's this naked starving child, and he's got nothing, and he's holding his hand out to you, and you're like, and you're pissed because you're being inconvenienced at the moment, and it's like, it puts it into perspective, like, that's me, or that's, I could be that naked kid on the street with absolutely freaking nothing, and but it's still, um but still, though, the kid will be smiling, and looking at you, my legs hurt, and you look over and there's a guy with no legs, and he's like rolling around on his wheelchair like he's dancing. And so the reality of the situation is that it can always get worse, and to enjoy. Yeah, it does. No, it gets worse. And that the beauty of it is that no matter where you are, um, It is the lack of any kind of mechanism or control over the situation. You are not, nobody is in control, and you're not doing anything. This is a story being told by no one for no one. And in this moment, this apparition of Steve, this entity that thinks he thinks and is actually, can achieve or do something to change his lot in life, is not at all what is going down. And no matter what you do, no matter how you approach it, now you could be a complete slacker, or you could be a complete, just, I'm going to, somebody like Ayn Rand, where you are what you do, and I'm going to completely dedicate myself to bettering myself. All of that, so it completely does not matter. None of that. How you appear to approach this, it has nothing to do with your free will. It has nothing to do with your desire or what you decide. The understanding that the puppet, or uh, the marionette, or the marionette, it, it's there's nobody controlling that string. There's nothing causing this. All right.
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it- so there's no string, so you're actually a character, a puppet in a story that actually has no control system. It just literally happens as it does in the moment. And that, for me, it the more I take myself out of the equation, like, it's not me looking at this shitty situation, it is the character having a shitty situation. And to be able to look at that, it's not so much a disassociation, but and it's not even an acceptance. It's that lack of self uh, makes it easier to digest the entire story, even when it absolutely sucks, and it can always get worse. But to just be happy in this, just happy in the fact that you are the appearance of a ghost in a machine with no foundation whatsoever in any kind of reality. And so just that, and to expect no thing to happen, and to believe nothing of what seems to be your past, and in this moment right here now, that is not even a present tense, understand that this is the totality. And just try to take that in, the broken bike, the broken transmission, the shit job, the absolute nightmare, humiliating, just soul crushing, you know, weight of all of this pressure on you. Look at it for what it is. In reality, in the next breath, you could die. Or something could just be horrible. Any horrible thing could happen. Or somebody can drop a bag of money onto your lap, and then the most beautiful woman you've ever seen, might fall in love with you. You have absolutely no idea, what's going to happen next. And even that there is a next, or that that there was a pastor, this is happening now as it appears, is absolutely baseless. And in that unknowable medium of what seems like a I don't know, yeah, what seems like a dimension, just absolutely nothing, and everything is happening simultaneously. And I'm
Oh,
sorry, I went off on a rant. I'm feeling your pain, brother. I
yeah.
understand.
You make it sound pretty full of wonder and awe, and something gratitude inspiring and wonderful and immense and great. But I want to see that. Hopefully, I'll get to see that sometime soon. Uh, I mean, yeah, it just feels all yucky, and then I don't really like it. But
What don't you like?
I just like I don't really like anything. I mean, I can look at the sky and say, oh, that must be a pretty great sky, or a butterfly flying by. Must be a pretty great butterfly, but I just don't. It's neither great nor not great.
Yeah. Yeah. The beauty of that, of that sensation of the mundane or the drab or even the sickeningly redundant, um, all of these, just nothing is ever going to be beautiful because, it's just, it's not that kind of fairy tale, right? So I can only say that, in the lack of, it's difficult. So let me ask you this: um, when you look at the sky, what are you thinking? Like, are you looking at it? What do you think when you look at the sky? What do you think when you're looking at the trees? What do you think when you're looking around?
I'm thinking quite a bit, quite a bit. Maybe scientifically, possibly. I wish it was like this and not like that.
Hmm.
I wish I could perceive it differently.
Well,
I'm
what? Well, okay. Let me the first one. How do you perceive it? How do you, like, scientifically speaking? How do you perceive it?
I might be thinking chlorophyll if I was looking at a tree.
Okay.
Chlorophyll,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or taxonomy.
Yeah.
Something really dumb like that.
Yeah. Well, no, I love. See, this is beautiful. Um, I do the same thing. Uh, I love to think about the processes of nature, the processes of science, and what appears to be our shared reality has these rules and mechanisms of cause and effect, matter and motion, time and space, that culminate and evolve into what eventually become trees and life, and consciousness. Okay. And that's just, it's a perfectly beautiful example of what appears to be a mechanism, chlorophyll, to eat light. Essentially is what that is. You're eating light, and that is what green, means. And that's the wavelength in which, um, leaves. I mean, leaves appear green to us because that's the wavelength in which light passes through those mediums by way of our perception, by way of our ability to see these wavelengths. So they're not really green. The leaves aren't green. They just appear green to us, and but it's just a certain wavelength of light or electromagnetism that appears as light to us in color. So
How
yes.
I got a question for you.
Hmm.
I'm like in the middle of working right now,
Sure.
and I was wondering. I need to load up a bed and
Yeah.
get on my way to the next delivery.
Sure.
But could maybe I could just mute it for 5 minutes and load up the
Yeah,
bed?
I'm going to go and talk to my tech guy. I've got to load a couple of videos. We've got to do a couple of things. I should be ready to do that. I've got one loading now, so I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to get that done. Load up another one. I got a couple of miscellaneous things, and yes, I will. What I'll do is we'll just stop this, and we'll just and I later on I'll. Well, you know what? I'll stop the recording of it,
Okay.
and we'll leave the meeting running, and when you come back in, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hear you or not. I'm going to keep one eye peeled, but this is going to be a first for me. So I'll stop the recording. You go do what you got to do, and I'll do what I got to do, and I'll come back, and then we'll pop record on again, and we'll continue.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
definitely do that. Yeah, I'm in.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I
No,
just
no,
got to
I'm
get
good.
that
As
done.
long as long, well, it works out perfect for both of us. We both have other things to do, and simultaneously, as far as the clock is concerned, my stuff just got ready to be loaded, and so it's all working out just fine.
Okay, so like 5 minutes then.
It might take me more like 10, but
Okay, cool. Yeah.
it'd be like 10. It might even be 15, but bear with me. I'm going to keep an eye out, and I just have to make sure because I'm at the mercy of my tech guy. So we can play this game, and then and there's no problem because what I'll do is I'll come back and just press the record button again. And if for some reason we get disconnected, I'll just start another meeting.
Okay.
But I'll be your I'll be your co-pilot. No problem, man. I'll get you through this nasty day. Sounds fun.
Okay, I'm gonna get that bed loaded, and I'll talk to you in 5 or 10 minutes.
Sounds good, brother.
I'm gonna leave everything the way it is.
Okay. Outstanding. Good.
All right.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya. We're back.
All right. Well, so you were talking about chlorophyll and what I see when I look at a plant at a tree, maybe, or a sky.
Well, you brought up science, and yeah, I hang on a sec. Yeah.
What I want to see when I look at the sky is I want to see vastness and be blown away and in awe and humbled and just feel the wonder of it, the beauty of it, the pricelessness of it. That's what I want, and I'm not finding the value as easily as I might before.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that I do, and so I don't know.
Well, see that the beautiful reality of this messageless message kind of thing is that it's not about what we can know or not know. It's that there is no knowing, there is no self to know. So, and that may seem that doesn't help the individual. It doesn't help the individual in that this is drab and kind of miserable regardless. I mean, so whether it's an appearance or not an appearance is completely irrelevant to the individual. And in that daily suffering of the mundane or the actual the actual negativities of dealing with separation, that's just going to appear. There's nothing that can be said or done to change that apparent reality. The difference, and there are people that seem like speakers or quote unquote awoke or enlightened people that really see it as just a mundane, an ordinary, and just kind of a drab frame of reference. I mean, their entire demeanor has to do with this is not here to help you, this is not good for you. I mean, it's not about making you happy, it's about what is. Now, the funny thing to me is that that's what I love about it. It's that it's honest in the fact that this is not dealing with the ridiculous notion that something can be negated or made better or worse, or something can be verified. None of that can happen. None of it will happen. None of it will ever happen, because this apparent moment is the totality without explanation, without any promises, without any safety net whatsoever. It is, and here, bear with me on this because this might, just really kind of piss you off in given the mood you're in right now. But maybe, maybe it can help shift the color of your mood. Ultimately, in that, to say that people will say that this is unconditional love, in that you are here now against your will, as the apparition of a being that thinks it thinks and can't even, you have no validity. It's not your choice. You just find yourself in this situation where, nothing is valid, nothing means anything, nothing matters, and yet uh, the totality of existence seems to be, uh, kind of, sitting in your cornflake, so to speak. And so, I mean, what gives there, right? So the beauty of it is, it's equatable to unconditional love in this way. Now, this is the part that's gonna, that people say unconditional love, or like, some people will use different nicknames. Tony Parsons says the beloved, and that just always kind of made me, squirm a little bit. The beloved is kind of gives me the willies, but or to call it unconditional love. Um, it is unconditional love, or the beloved. I'll use unconditional love, yeah, because I can use this analogy in that love screws everything up. Like real true love, when you feel it, you turn a corner, you look at somebody, and bam, you love them. And like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, for no reason whatsoever, you fall in love, and it's like, it has nothing to do with common sense. It has nothing to do with practicality. It has nothing to do with making your life better. You know, it has nothing. If anything, it screws everything up. It, like, real true love usually messes everything up. I mean, it's a total nightmare. So because you have no control over what your heart wants, right? Or the heart wants what it wants. It's not even yours, which is ironic. And that's an interesting. It's an interesting distinction between the heart and mind, because the mind is always seen as something of a possession that can be lost. You can lose your mind, but the heart wants what it wants. And so, and you have no power over whatsoever. It has nothing to do with desire. So in this way, the beloved, as Tony Parsons would call it, or anybody, you can call it whatever you like, unconditional love. This unconditional love is as it is without your consent. And so it's not that Steve is having difficulties dealing with separation. That's ultimately always going to be that way. I mean, it's always going to suck in some way, to varying degrees. You're never going to get everything you want. So, but look at it like that, in that no matter what happens, no matter what if you can get everything you want within the next second, 30 seconds. You win the lottery, you whatever you want, all your desires come true. I guarantee you're not going to be in some kind of faraway Xanadu that's going to make everything perfect. And there's still going to be that nightmare of of that separation, that there will be no hole that can fill up. There is no ability for the self to actually become whole, because there is no self, and wholeness is appearing as an individual that has that needs to be whole or wants to be whole. So that is the story of it. So instead of looking at it like, um, I've fallen in love and everything's screwed up, and I'm not, it's just, what have I done to myself? Why can't things be different? Don't look at it like that. Okay, try to imagine that, or try to imagine that again. And I know I'm being repetitive, but you're not thinking and you're not doing anything. It is being expressed as this, as the totality, but you can see it almost as a prank. It's not, it becomes less of a malicious thing, in that it's not something that's trying to hurt you. It's that, and this is counterintuitive, and it's definitely paradoxical, but in reality, I'm just going to tell a story. When you lose yourself in the equation of desire and separation, and you see it for the story that it is, and that it is a happening that is not happening. It appears to exist, but does not exist as it appears. There is no cause, no effect, no matter, no motion, no time, no space. None of that exists, right? So, and you see it as the story of that in this moment, as the totality, and cease to want shit. You don't want anything because there's nothing to want. You are here now, desiring of no future. You need believe in no past. There is no tether to any kind of objective reality, and everything can change on a dime. And right here, right now, you can walk. You can talk within this illusionary experience of self and other and navigating time and space. It appears as if you're not getting what you want, but in the next minute you can get hit by a car and lose all your functional, you lose all your autonomy whatsoever. But the reality is you never were autonomous. So this right here now may seem like it's a nightmare for Steve because he doesn't get what he wants. But if you look at it like the story of a Steve that doesn't get what he wants, just expressed as the totality, you can see it for the kind of playful prank that it really actually is. It's a prank in that I'm not saying that it's lascivious, lascivious or malicious. It's not dark. It's not like sinister trying to get you. It's more of a just this clumsy, completely just out of nowhere, completely causeless, and there's no way to predict what's going to happen. And to look at it as this comedy of errors, and to see yourself as a individual in it, trying to manipulate the situation to more satisfy your position. Okay, that is the funny part. And to look at it like that, to be able to disassociate yourself from what you really want to happen, just go ahead and wallow in your desire, bask in what you want, really truly. If you want to say something, people will say it's ridiculous, but why not just open yourself up to the universe and say, yeah, I want this, and be completely honest, and just be honest with yourself. And I'm not saying that it's real, that there's a universe, or that you are real as an individual. I'm saying appreciate that reality, that there seems to be a you in desire. And so ask for it, like literally try to imagine.
Really breaking up.
Okay, sorry, man. I heard, yeah, but try to imagine that. Try to imagine everything that you truly want. What does Steve want? Look at it like that. Um,
What I
wallow.
really want. What I really want is.
Hang on now, you're breaking up on me, brother. Hang on. Repeat that last bit.
Okay, I want to have pure joy in observation.
Okay.
Like I want to look at a grain of dust or sand, at the sky, the smallest bug, and just be in gratitude all the time, in peace, and not have anything else matter, and see beauty wherever I'm at, and that's it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, really get into that. When you're with yourself, when you're thinking about it, actually, just try to personify it. I want this ability to see beauty in everything. I want to see the infinity in a grain of sand. Okay,
yeah.
That whole thing. Okay, beautiful, awesome. So this is what what the coolest thing about it is, the counterintuitive nature of this paradox is that in order to get there, you might just have to realize that Steve has to realize that everything it is that way already. But okay, let me try to articulate this a little better.
It's free. It's like the easiest thing. It's
right.
Like that's the default.
Okay, well, how about like let's just talk analogy, or let's talk metaphor. for example, uh, what are the odds? Let's say the universe exists. Let's say time and space is real, matter and motion. We're actually individuals that live on Earth, in this cluster of galaxies. Now, what are the odds mathematically of Steve actually being in a place at a time right now? What are the odds that you exist from the moment of the Big Bang? All right. Um, that the moment gravity slipped from the other forces, there was a Steve that was going to exist because
Yeah,
it was our
it's impossible.
right. Well, no, but yes, but it doesn't even matter if it's impossible or not. That is the suggestion of what appears to be the Big Bang Theory in so far as separation. So I'm just trying to put it to you like this: the odds of you actually existing here now are incalculable. It's just there's nothing even beginning to resemble a number that could be objectively real to make that assessment. So, but the story is that the Big Bang created evolution. You know, the moment gravity slipped from the strong, weak, and electromagnetic forces, then you were created. You know, so was I, so was everything, right? And so it's just playing itself out over hundreds of trillions of googolplex of years. But the reality, the fact that symphony of happening cannot be objectively realized is amazing. But within that parameter, within that theory, you existed before time existed in this reality. So,
Yeah.
because the moment the singularity became not the singularity and began time and space, as we can understand it, um, you were you were predestined, or you were predetermined to happen, just as this here now is predetermined. Everything that happens within this mundane drab existence and dealing with your day to day and just sucky little mundane life that seems to be, dragging you into this hole of shall I say, malaise, or just kind of it's almost a gray uh, depression. But the funny thing about that is, um, the no matter how you look at this, whether time does not exist and this is a happening, not happening in the appearance of a dimension without the example of dimensionality in an objectively true sense or real sense, or whether it is a happening that cannot be ascertained through separation via logic, because we just simply cannot get to the physics of what um, made gravity slip. Okay, no matter which way you want to look at this as an individual, you can't know it to be objectively real. But at the same time, envision the story, envision what you have insofar as the possibility of what might be, how this might be here now. The fact that you can look at anything, you want to look at chloroform, you want to look at evolution, you want to look at history, geography, geology, astrophysics, quantum physics. You want to look at any genre you want to look at, and you're going to get to a place where there is an unknowability. Now whether it's layers upon layers upon layers that never reach an end, or if it's infinite, we won't know, because you can't get to the end of that infinite hallway, right? So you won't know whether it's finite or infinite, because if it's infinite, you'll never get to the bottom. And if you can't get to the bottom, you don't know if it has one. So you can't know whether infinite or finite even exists, or if time is not stopping, reversing, going forward, or none of that. Think of the implication that your thought doesn't come from the source of a physical brain in time and space. The implication that there is not two people talking, that all of this shit that looks like it's so mundane is literally coming out of nothing. and going to nowhere. Now, as mundane as that may appear, think about how mind blowing it is to do something as simple as getting a glass of water. Okay, like just within the appearance of separation, there are just flowing water on our planet. Um, and to have flowing water over such a long period of time that it actually enables stable life. The seasons, the tilt of the earth, the mind-blowing perplexing, the just impossible math involved with the statistics involved and the probabilities that you exist here now to get a drink of water. And, even in separation in the if you want to believe the story, that is just absolutely a million things to get lost in there, to get lost in the mundane aspect of something as simple as a drink of water. The how that is even plausible that consciousness has arisen through this manifestation of events, through billions, trillions of years, and we're looking at hundreds of just forever time. It's deep time, but we'll never know if it's infinite or not, ever. So the idea that this is even happening or not happening, or you're in a place and a time, or if there is no place and time and this is not relevant to any other position, literally this here and now is not separate, and we're not two individuals and nothing else exists beside this right now and whatever seems to be around your periphery. Meanwhile, on top of that, what seems to be reality is this guy Steve that has a periphery. You have this ability to look around you and see stuff, right? And they say there's nothing beyond the immediate experience, yet you don't exist. So let's break that down. If you don't exist, okay, and immediate experience is all that there is, okay, so how does that work? Because if my senses aren't real, but all that I sense is the totality, then what you're saying is everything and nothing um, coexist in this weird merging where ideas and the self stop being a rotor system, okay? Because it's not a mind talking about a self, or a self actually generated from a brain, or identified by that mind self brain. uh, what's happening is they're literally, am I losing you? No, I'm literally that there is no separation between thought and self. Okay. Now, people will say, well, you get into this stillness, and that's what they're, things become still. It's not that. What happens is thought and self merge into this, where there's no subject or object. So it becomes like a daydream. And so what appears to be an individual thinking ends up being just a thought stream, and you lose subject object. You lose the idea that you actually exist in a time and a place. And it's as simple as, some people call it daydreaming, some people call it meditation, whatever. But think about that paradox though. If the immediate experience is all that there is, but the self does not exist, okay, what does that mean? Okay, what does that mean? What is even the idea of dimensionality? What is the idea of what is existence? What is reality? um just
I don't know.
dimensionality itself loses any I mean, there is no way to articulate that. So when you're getting a glass of water, or you're dealing with this humdrum horse shit of a nasty day, and just ridiculous frustrations of the world, um try to remember that even if you're burning in a fire, if you are smashing your thumb, it's not happening as it appears. And even uh, the fear of that, of being burnt, is actually um, helping, the character of Steve now, in this, navigate this apparent happening. So now, within that mundane appearance, look at it from that complete unknowable, foundationless, positionless situation where there's nothing that you can do about it. But at the same time, why would you want to change it? I mean, what the beauty of it is that it is as it is and cannot be any different. It just literally cannot be different, and yet it's never as it appears. You will never be able to grab something or hold something to make it a particular way. And what a gift basket from the sky could fall on your lap at any time, or the hounds of hell could be coming for you. But that's the beauty of the situation. Instead of worrying about your where you want to be, you know I would say, paradoxically as well, though, let yourself want everything that you want it, and ask for it. Just say, no, I want these things. I want my character to do this. Do it shamelessly. Think about all the things that you want, okay, and see what happens, and see where that takes your brain. Think about all the shit you want, and uh, think about, I want to be enlightened, and I want to be, or I want to see eternity in a grain of sand. Look into that, and don't inhibit yourself in any way. But
Can I interrupt you for a second and
yes,
get this bed out of here?
please. Yes.
Okay, I just have to leave it on the sidewalk.
Oh, okay.
I'll be right back.
Outstanding, brother. I'm just gonna cut my video for a sec and my mic.
Okay.
But I'll be here.
Okay.
Back and record. So why don't you tell me what's going on right now? What do you see around you?
Okay, hold on just a sec.
Take your time. I'll be right back.
I'm looking at my phone, and I had to not look at my phone because I'm getting ready to drive.
Oh, okay.
So I got my phone put away, and so what I see around me actually looks better than it did before. I've been, yeah, I'm.
So what's going on? What are you seeing? What's happening around you? Talk to me, man. What are you looking at?
Well, I'm in a dark cab of a vehicle with the light on. The air is kind of warmish, and
Isn't that amazing though? Think about that. Think about being in a cab of a vehicle. Okay, this is amazing to me. My buddy and I were going down the road. I had just bought this truck, and it was just super fast. And we had the stereo going, and we were on our way to the mountains or whatever. And or no, we were coming back from a buddy's house. We're coming back to my house, and my friend was complaining. He says, life is just this drag of going back and forth and doing these things and all of this mundane nightmare that I mean it's all about money and blah 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 blah. And I said, well, look at it like this: in the history of mankind, in the history of the universe, there has never been this situation. There has never been this exact story happening. It's impossible that this can happen in the same way twice within the realm of separation in time and space, because no two objects can occupy the same place at the same time simultaneously. So
Yeah.
no matter what, there has never been a moment like this one, even in with the regards of separation. Now let's just look at that. When we're driving down the road, you're in a truck, right?
Yeah.
With the trillions or the billions of people that have lived on this planet since the beginning of mankind, how many of them have driven a truck?
Hardly any.
Hardly any. Probably barely at 1% of all
Yeah.
of humanity has ever been in a dark truck with warm air and navigating these roads and talking to their friend across the country on Zoom, right? I mean, this is literally one and only time this has ever happened exactly like this. Now, just to play devil's advocate, like my friend was saying, yeah, but it's mundane, this and that. I said, we're listening to music. We're going 80 miles an hour. Okay. We have German beer on ice. Okay. We have, tobacco and blah, blah, blah. And we're about ready to go home, where we're going to watch a ball game that's being televised from across the world, and and we're complaining about how this is just mundane. And I'm like, think about all of the characters in the history of the world that have never been in this position. And
Well,
but
and
that could go ahead.
and of noting is that you're probably not going to go home and get stabbed that night in your sleep
Yeah.
by by hordes of you know uh, criminals or yeah.
Well, the probability that you will not be murdered by frogs tonight is never zero. Which is
You're going to be relatively safe, which is kind of the
you're right. But see, there you go. Now there you go again. Think about that probability, that statement. The probability of you not being murdered by a group of frogs tonight is never zero, and that's the truth. And in fact, that is the think about the Boltzmann brain. Okay, the probability, even mathematically speaking, physically speaking, that the world or the universe in a singularity broke free somehow. Gravity broke free from the other forces and created what we say is space and time. The probability that that is accurate, that what appears to be an individual looking at a universe in space and time actually being true, compared to the probability that a brain is just being blipped into some kind of medium, is just mind-boggling. It would be so much simpler for for entropy to wind up just so that the particles necessary in order to make a brain would come together in a quantum fluctuation, then it would be true that an entire universe would come into existence. So the probability that there is a brain that blips in and out of existence in playtime in some other medium that we don't even understand culminates in what you see as a memory and the appearance of a universe. Um, and that is over before it's even begun. And essentially, what you think is your life here on Earth in this universe. And what I am saying is that why even if you can't know that the universe is actual, or that if you are a brain in a vat or a Boltzmann brain in a quantum fluctuation, then why even attach the idea that there is a source for what you're thinking? So, and so in that thought of self, mind, brain, and as it relates to space, time, and separation, this all indicates that none of that is plausible in in the most common sense in the common mathematical sense of what we see reality to be, even if you want to deal with it from the testable realities of the subjective or the the subjective position of the testable apparent shared reality that we have. We can test things, shoot rockets to the moon, because we can say that we are sharing this space between. We are sharing this apparent reality, and so we can test things to make it look. I mean, but they will never be absolute. Even those tests can never be known to be objectively real as they appear. Even our most accurate test, I think, go to 13 decibels, which is the standard model of physics, E equals mc squared, goes to like 13 decibels of accuracy.
Hey, so one thing you said about that glass of water is going to be something that I'm going to enjoy contemplating for quite some time. I like that. So I'm gonna really consider that some more, a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, the simplicity of that, the
and
beauty of, yeah, that's so what resonated with you about that particular story?
Oh, it's like, why would I want this water to be taste less salty, to have less calcium in it, to be any warmer or any cooler, because like it traveled to me from like unimaginable distances, and it I gotta do a U-turn. And like everything is that way.
Yeah, and even further so, think about it in terms of the very first moment gravity slipped from the other forces. That water was created as you, and you as the water, and the fact that you would separate and now come together in such a way that you appear to be this entity that is conscious and aware of other things. The paradox of that is you are the water. You see what I'm saying? You are the water. It's that these particles are chemical reactions within this apparent splitting off of things. All essentially was, I mean, technically speaking, hydrogen and helium. And so that's what the sun is, hydrogen and helium. But that's what everything is ultimately, in different configurations of configurations.
You're totally tripping me out here, like I'm on LSD or something. So
well, the thing is that no matter how you look at it, you're not separate from the water. And so that's the amazing. But even if you want to think about the story of water and the self, I mean, how many ways do you want to look at it?
Hey, can you let me go for another second?
Yeah, no problem. Not at all. One more. Absolutely, man. Go. Yeah, take your time, man. I'm having a good time. Thanks for letting me yammer on. I'm here.
I'll be right back. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'm back.
Sounds good.
All right. Oh, now I am about a mile or two from my house. So.
Oh, were you able to drive the truck home?
Yeah, because I'm stopping so late in the day. So, yeah, now I'm kind of wishing in a way that I was on that bike. So, hey,
I love it.
That's some great insights, Howard. I really appreciate you talking to me about this stuff.
Well, thank you so much for thinking about me and calling me, man. I'm so glad. Thank you for letting me yammer on like I did.
Yeah. Hey, I got something else that's interesting that kind of felt trippy today.
Uh-huh.
So I'm carrying around my personal cell phone, my business cell phone, and then my boss's cell phone. And so I'm like supposed to take my boss's cell phone and call people as if I'm my boss, using my name, of course, no impersonation, right. But like I'm playing that role. I'm like that character of the boss.
Nice.
I'm supposed to, when I get the order from them, then I text it like to myself as the boss and respond to that from my character worker Steve. So I text the company as the boss, and then I text from the Steve worker, and then I look at my other phone and I have the Steve personal character right next to that.
Right.
Okay, wait. This is a disassociation happening here because like they're all like just like these three characters, and all they are is like a $300 cell phone. Not real. They're kind of like that personality is there on that phone. You could pick up that phone and see Steve or Steve.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah. I mean, how many Steves are there? I mean, does every person, every conversation you've ever had is probably a language unto itself, even with the same person. Like you and I have had several conversations, but I would venture to say that not only has each conversation had its own personality, but each conversation has had its own language. There are some common threads, of course, but each conversation has its own personality in its own set. So it's just amazing.
I can see that. And when you said that, something that occurred to me is just like every shirt that I have is like a different personality. And so am I that shirt, or am I that personality, or like what am I? I'm not that shirt.
Right.
I'm not that conversation. I'm not that cell phone.
And it's never that easy, right? It's never like I am this person. Like just any story you want to think about. Let's just start making stuff up. I'll dream up a character. Say there's a retired military guy that was involved with some stuff where people got hurt, and he could never change it, but innocent children got killed, and it had a direct result from him obeying his orders, and he just can't slip that. But at the same time, that same man has gone across the world in his civilian life, and it just so happened that he ends up saving a village because he wanted to. It's just their paths crossed, and is he the guy that saved the children from the second village, or is he the guy that murdered all those children obeying orders in the first village? Now, is he both of those things and everything in between? Like, what guy is that guy? And the reality is all of our stories have a tinge of that in them. We are the worst of what we want to be, or the least of what we want to be, and more than we could ever have thought that we could be good or could be bad. It's just that way, where we somehow find this medium where every second is a different rendition of your character, and not so much, it's not Steve,
Oh,
but your character, and every person that you meet knows a different Steve.
yeah. I'm parking now.
Yeah, so we've had several different conversations, all with their own personalities, much like shirts or just stories in an individual's life, or the different characters that the character meets within the dream within a dream. I mean, who is Steve? You know, and you know, what is it the mundane, frustrated, aggravated Steve, or is it the happy, like, holy shit, I can't even believe that if this is the totality, I am here now being expressed in this moment, and if nothing else ever happens, ever, this is actually unexplainably beautiful if you look at it in that regard. It's just, you know but it's just a glass of water, you know. But you are the water. I mean, it's just perfect. you know, it's perfect. And I thank you, man, for calling. And if you want to continue the conversation, please give me a call. Anytime you want to do that. And now, I was actually looking at some quantum physics stuff earlier, or something about pulsars earlier, and that's not usually my thing, astrophysics. Um, but I was looking at the lady that discovered pulsars, and that whole story about how her uh, the guy that actually built the radar and had the credentials was the one that took the credit and got the Nobel Peace Prize. While he had fought her the whole time, she said, "No, this is a pulsar. This is something different," and she proved it to him using his equipment. And then they gave him she was the first astrophysicist, or the only one in that area in Cambridge. And I was watching that story and I was thinking, this is just a fascinating story. Now, it doesn't have any objective reality, but if you're thinking about the mundane, or if you're getting bored, I've definitely got some links if you want to talk about them. I'm down. So give me a call anytime you like, man.
Okay. Well, yeah, thanks so much for listening to me and giving me a little bit of helping me get out of my own limited perspective that I have right now. So
I loved your I just wanted to see if I could touch on this one thing. You said to see infinity in a grain of sand. That it is that way too, and that's beautiful,
yeah,
because that's what it is. And this is infinity in a grain of sand, and it is exactly that story that you indicated you wanted, and it is that. Yeah, it's just a matter of how it's just a matter of looking at that grain of sand and seeing what are the probabilities of this actually being true. And if it was true, what is it? And you can get lost in that grain of sand forever. That's the
yeah,
reality. You will never know this. So it is that way. To want it is not even necessary, because what you want is the reality. There is infinity in a grain of sand,
yeah,
and it's just beautiful. And I think that I relate to that, because sometimes it feels like the paradox is so perfect that it's actually something I am creating, like almost like a solipsist or something like that. But obviously that's not the case. It's not, but it is that perfect in that this subject object almost switches to where now I'm not, am I the subject or the object? And there's no, it just becomes that beautiful. And you know, the more you try to, I'll mess it up the more I try to describe what I just said. But
Oh, well,
um
when when I see those moments of infinity, like in a grain of sand or anything, you know, like little intricate things are what do it for me. The tinier the better.
yes,
The more ephemeral and less important and meaningless. And I don't know, like a grasshopper's leg. Like there's a whole universe in that grasshopper's leg.
yeah,
Uh, you know, infinity inside there, and you know, with what you said, I've made me realize that when I've had those moments, I've always there's always been that subject object thing. Even though I'm perceiving that as infinity, I'm still here outside of that infinity as,
yes.
you know, separation. So
Well,
yeah.
if you wanted to get deeper into the infinity in a grain of sand, what for me gets super fun, you know, and difficult to follow, and not exactly easy to find studies about that are like links. But insofar as like quantum field theory is concerned, think about quantum field theory and where a neuron stops and what the neuron is observing starts, and just contemplate that, you know, what, where does subject object, where does that line begin within that testable state of realities that show us, you know, quantum field theory. You know, it's just unbelievable to actually to find people that are actually spending their lives, you know, messing with that. It's like there is no definitive point in which the subject becomes the object and the object the subject. There is no separation between the neuron and what it is observing. That is absolutely fascinating to me. I mean, just it shows you that there is no brain. You know, no matter how you look at it, there's no source for what is appearing in this here and now. And it's all of, you lose yourself. You're and the story becomes enlightened. Um, Meanwhile, there is, you know, so there's no self, but at the same time, um, everything appears to be your senses, and yet you can't go beyond that. And but to say that is to say that you know the totality of existence, that you know that there's nothing beyond your consciousness, while simultaneously saying that there is no consciousness. So, you know, I mean, there's no way to you know, you can get into the finer details of this and dig as far as you want to go. And no matter what you do, the beauty is you can study as vigorously as you like, but you're never going to find the answer because it's embedded in the story that it is impossible to know. And you know, and so that is what is. Impossibility is what is. I mean, the infinity in a grain of sand. Absolutely, my brother. I mean, absolutely. So, you know, driving around in a truck, you know, think about it in terms of that. How many people have driven in a truck? How many people have been able to go down the road at 70 miles an hour? You know, you know, drinking a ice cold Coca-Cola and listening to music. You know, I mean, just, you know, even in the terms of the spectrum of separation and the percentages, how many people in the universe can say they did that, and then to actually know that no matter where you are in the universe, no matter how you want to do it, it has never been that way for anyone ever. Not exactly that, and every moment is exactly unique to that scenario, and simultaneously the totality. So it's just inexpressible how incredible this blooms out of nothing. And for what? For what? You know what I
I
mean?
don't
It's so beautiful. There's no question or answer. It just is. And for nothing. Dude, thanks for calling, man. I was feeling a little blue. Now you got me out of my
Oh,
blues.
really? Oh, nice. Well,
It worked out fine, brother.
all right. Well,
Thanks,
I
Steve.
guess you're about ready to go to bed, eh?
Yeah, well, I'm good. I'm just yammering with you. I mean, I have a feeling that I'm talking too much. I feel like I'm
Oh,
being
no.
too over gregarious.
No, it's great. I really appreciate that you get what I'm talking about. And
Oh yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna stay up until about midnight, but I'm gonna go in and try to
I'll
relax.
tell, yeah,
Been like so stressed out all day, and so and hungry.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. Let me know. If you know whatever you want to do, and I've got a couple of things. I got to load a couple of links, and I've got stuff to do anyway. So, but yeah, if you wanted to continue to talk, well, yeah, stay till midnight. Yeah, oh, it's already midnight here. But
Oh.
yeah, well, enjoy your time, chill out, have a good one, and please call me anytime, man.
Okay, well, thanks. Appreciate it, man. You can call me too.
Thanks,
So,
Steve. I really do appreciate that, brother.
I
Thanks, man.
appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Right back at you, man. Beautiful, beautiful conversation. Thanks, man.
You bet. I'll talk to
I'll
you
talk
later.
to you. Yep. Talk to you soon, bro.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.